College football apostles is back in the building. I'm your boy George Wrighster, former NFL player, college football player, and college football analyst for CW. So make sure that you tune in this week. I'm back on the games and with my main man, Ralph Amsden, Rain Man of knowledge, college football savant, and man that we are going to have to get on his bumper because he's supposed to give us some stories. He's supposed to have some stories for us, Ralph. But as he usually does. But we had a great week of college football last week. Great week of college football this week. So much to talk about. The SEC is doing their thing. The propaganda is on max. The college football playoff rankings are out. Charlie Baker is begging and pleading to Congress. Brent Key does a Dan Lanning. DJ Pickle. Pickell, excuse me, Pickle. Pickell. He actually gets John Mateer to tell the truth. It's a lot going on. But we are going to start with where we always start with is our takeaways for last week in college football. I'll let you go first, Mr. Ralph Amsden.
Well, you know how sometimes you get this like two sides come together and they make a compromise and everybody's happy, everybody gets what they want, and it's just like the perfect compromise. Have you ever been part of one of those?
Yeah. Yes.
Okay, so we got between Arizona State fans and Nebraska fans, we had what was a perfect compromise in Arizona State's win over Iowa State. Nebraska fans believe Jeff Sims is the most turnover-prone quarterback of all time. And Arizona State fans are just looking for any reason and way to stay alive. Their top four players are out. Their top safeties that's left over is suspended for the first half of the game. So there's no way they have a shot in Ames, Iowa. And what ends up happening is Jeff Sims rushes for 228 yards. He sets a school record for most rush yards. They get the win, and Nebraska fans get their 3 turnovers because he was coughing up that ball, boy. So shout out to everybody. All the haters got what they wanted. Arizona State fans got what they wanted. Everybody walked away happy. I mean, not Nebraska.
So Nebraska fans got to be right. He's a turnover machine, and yes. Arizona State fans, but he's our turnover machine that won the game. This is all that matters, and he set a record.
They already like put his jersey in glass because it was just covered in field paint. They really had that man put his body on the line. But Nebraska fans got to be, I guess, happy with the compromise up until that night when their quarterback, unfortunately, broke his leg. But that's also not a terrible situation for Nebraska, George, because they were not going to college football playoff anyway, and now they kind of have an excuse as to why they're not going to get there.
Dude, getting excuses is like the best thing that you can get as a college football fan sometimes. It is the best thing that you can get because their fans now can be like, listen, the only reason why we lost to USC is because Dylan Raiola got hurt. And they can believe it because of the way the game transpired. And then they go to UCLA this weekend. If they lose to UCLA, hey, we're playing with TJ Lateef. Kid was just in high school. UCLA's actually rolling. They're doing well. And this could be the game that gets Tim Skipper the job.
You think so?
Yes, because you're in a comparable situation. Nebraska's defense, their pass defense, one of the best in the country. They are playing good D. They just shut USC down. Mayaba went 8 for 23. This is I don't even think there was a point in time where he hadn't even completed 2 consecutive passes. So, and that was like deep into the third quarter, fourth quarter. So we're gonna sit here and act like that UCLA, that this is not a big game for them. It is. And truthfully, it should be a big game for Nebraska too, because regardless of missing Dylan Raiola, he's been there for a minute. So you should have some, like a good enough team to be able to win. So they're at UCLA, then they're at Penn State, and then they play Iowa. If Nebraska drops 3 in a row, how do you think them fans are gonna be feeling about good old Matt Rule?
Well, it just depends. Are you not fans of the podcast House Rules, where Matt Rule stands up like Pat McAfee? If you're just a fan of Matt Rule because he's coaching your team, and you're not a fan of his podcast with his friend from Philadelphia, are you really even a Nebraska fan? Come on now.
What? Yes,
Nebraska
you can
fans,
listen.
Nebraska fans know how to handle
What have
adversity.
you done for me lately? And college football fans are what have you done for me lately, including, dude, Oregon fans are toxic right now.
Yeah, they
Toxic.
are.
It is, dude. I have never seen this level of toxicity from Oregon fans. It is. I I don't understand. They're negative about a team that is 9-0. I'm sorry, that is ranked ninth in the country, 7-1, the number one pass defense in the country, a top 10 offense, the number 4 yards per game defense in the country. And we're sitting. Oh my God, this team sucks. I was gonna whoop our ass. I can't wait for Will Stein to get out of town. And I'm like, dude, it was funny. I took a screenshot because I was gonna post it, and I'm glad I just remembered it. Here is a quote from Dogs 247. Okay, this is a message board post. This is the team that is ranked 5th in the nation right now. Okay, recent national championships, 2 of them. Okay, Kirby Smart's your head coach. So just so we're talking about the same Georgia Bulldogs, okay? Says, I got to turn it this way. It's been a. I don't enjoy watching Georgia football anymore. It has been a very uninspiring product the last 2 seasons. All the talk about the cardiac kids and the grift sounds great until you realize that the games are always super close because you're getting out coached against inferior teams. We're talking about the same Georgia Bulldogs that were in the college football playoff last year, and they were headed to win until their uh, uh, quarterback arm fell off. I used to watch highlights of games repeatedly, watch reactions to Georgia games. Now I don't even want to see them win or lose because it usually disgusts me with the sloppy play. The defense in particular is just nauseating. I guess I'm spoiled, rotten, ungrateful fan, whatever. Going to my first game since Oregon 2003 this weekend. I can't say I'm excited about what I'll probably see. Bash away.
2 things. Number one, you should understand this as much as anybody. Because I know you didn't grow up on that pink Himalayan salt that you eat. I know you didn't.
No, I didn't. I grew up on iodized Morton salt with the lady with the what is that behind her? An umbrella or the
Yeah, the
yellow
umbrella,
kid?
little girl with the umbrella. Yeah.
Yeah.
What do you think of that little girl with the umbrella right now?
I don't see her.
So
She
like,
doesn't.
but I'm saying like,
It does not have a place in my home.
it makes food uninspiring.
Yes, it's too
Okay.
salty.
So here's the expectations always do this, and then when you bring up Oregon fans, I think it all stems from the loss that Oregon took to Ohio State. You almost have to, because when you fall from that high, like you bounce off that pavement from that high up, That's tough. So you almost have to build some branches to hit on the way down, if that makes sense.
That is a great dude. You actually have to build things to break your fall. And they're like, dude, they are on the we're gonna lose 3 games this year. But I was like, y'all sound like Alabama fans. Turns out they sound like Georgia fans. When I listen to Paul Feinbaum show, I have never in my life, outside of when Alabama wins against Georgia or or LSU, outside of that, their fans are generally unhappy people, no matter what the record is. And it's just fascinating to me because now I'm seeing it with this fan base that I'm
You made
technically
it.
a part of, and it is like, wow, this is what it's like. And I'm trying to restore order as their leader, but they are and now you've had Iowa fans talk them up about the fact that Iowa's so amazing running the football and their defense that like you forget about how good your team is. And so this goes for every single college football fan. Ralph likes to use analogies. I got to tell Ralph, tell me if you think that this is a good analogy.
Okay.
That college football fans, they see their team and they get frustrated by their team. It is just the same way that you get frustrated with your wife and kids who live in your house. But then people from the outside, like you see the kid didn't pick up the stuff, didn't take the trash out. You have to tell them stuff twice. They left their stuff and you got to drop it off at school and all the negative things about them. But then you see the guidance counselor at school or a parent and they're like, Ralph, your kids are amazing, man. I love watching Micah play that saxophone. That thing he did going up there at the concert was amazing. We love Jet, how his energy works hard, this and this and this. Miles is like, but as a parent, you can only see, like, you're so close to the sun that you see their flaws so much that you can't even see the imperfections in everybody else, and that your kids are right on par with everybody else because all you can see is that Raven Simone is over there making or the Olsen twins are making $10 million, or that somebody else's kid is Doogie Howser, and you feel like yours are failing.
Absolutely. I mean, you look at Marvin Harrison Sr. this week.
Yeah,
Like his son's a top 10 pick in the NFL draft, and he's talking about, well, I can't even watch these games. Like it's driven him to insanity. He can't
yeah,
even watch. So like I don't know. I would say there is this third thing though, because you talk about like I can criticize my wife, you can't criticize my wife, right?
yeah.
But I think we talked about this last week. The coaching carousel adds this third weird element to it, right? So like if I'm in a room and Brad Pitt walks in the room and he says something derogatory about my wife, I'm not defending her. I'm not doing it. I'm not
Mm.
talking my wife up to Brad Pitt and changing his mind.
That yes,
So
yeah.
yeah,
You're not trying to give her away.
so there's all these people crushing Kenny Dillingham right now because his name's being mentioned in coaching carousels. And they'll be like, I don't want him at Auburn, this, and that. And I'm like, yeah, man, he's the worst.
That's funny.
So, it definitely, man, college football is the weirdest and it's the best. But you brought up Paul Feinbaum, and this is a little secret hidden thing that's not on our show notes, but it'll get us into our topics for today. Paul Feinbaum says Dabo needs to go SEC. Just leave Clemson behind. You got to go out to Clemson. You got to meet Dabo. I don't think that's happening in a million years, but I wanted to get your take on Paul Feinbaum saying Dabo needs to jump ship, come compete with the big boys.
Well, that ties perfectly into exactly what my takeaway was from this last week. is that the SEC is going to campaign for 5 or 6 teams in the college football playoff. Like they have 6 within the top 12 right now of the rankings. And this is no different. Remember, Paul Feinbaum said, I can basically guarantee you that what happened with the SEC last year, getting 3 teams in, won't happen this year. So, like, they have been basically, the voters have basically been, held hostage by the SEC. And there's a concerted effort to make sure that they have multiple teams in, or at least are in position where they at least get 4 in. But they're going to try for 5. And Paul Feinbaum in this situation, getting Dabo to the SEC only increases his viewership and reach, because then he'll get some Clemson fans in there, and wherever he went, if he went to Auburn, it'd be like, oh yeah, now that Auburn Alabama thing gets even bigger. Paul Feinbaum is in the interest of Paul Feinbaum. That is better for Feinbaum. So of course he would say that. Stop it, Paul. Paul, stop it before I get legend on the phone over here.
Should have Dabo take Paul Feinbaum's job after Paul Feinbaum runs for Senate. So our next storyline, the first college football playoff rankings dropped. I don't know if I really have many thoughts on the first round of rankings. I am curious as to what your main takeaway is. It changed so much last year from the first batch to the end.
Yeah.
That this one is just like, all right, well, let's get a feel for who's voting. It's 11 people, right? Like, because Randall McDaniel stepped out. So, yeah, I'm just curious to what your takeaway is of this first batch.
This was the first time that I didn't hate it. I was like, yo, this is actually a good top 10 on some level. This is actually good. And then I got to 11 with Texas. And I was like, yo, this is propaganda. This is propaganda. Texas at 11, they should be at like 16, 17, somewhere around there. 11 feels very aggressive. That
preseason number 1, I think people are still really holding on to the fact that we went a whole offseason saying they were going to be the best returning team.
Yes. And then if you look at, so I just pulled up week 11, so the first college football playoff ranking from last year, okay? Oregon 1, Ohio State 2, Georgia 3, Miami 4, Texas 5, Penn State 6. So 1, 2, 3, 5, 6 all got in, okay? Tennessee at 7, Indiana at 8, all got in. Notre Dame at 10, got in. So while everybody is sitting here talking about these rankings don't matter, everybody in the top 10 from the first rankings, except Miami at 4 and BYU at 9, all got in. Okay? And then when you think about the top, and Boise was ranked high, they got in. And then the highest ranked ACC team at that point in time was Miami, but SMU ended up getting in. So nobody outside, Clemson was at 23. So, yeah, so nobody outside of the top 12 except Clemson in terms of the rankings got in the college football play. Oh, well, sorry, top 13 because of SMU. Except Clemson, who was at 23 because they won their conference championship game. All the teams inside of the top 13 got in, Ralph.
Do you think that's going to happen this year?
This is actually a video. I'm glad you brought this up. Yeah, and I think that that's what you're going to have for this year as well. So you're going to have Ohio State and Indiana. They are guaranteed to get in the college football playoff. Like there's no possible, like Indiana can't miss. They got Maryland, Penn State I'm sorry, excuse me. They just beat up Maryland. So they got Penn State, Wisconsin, and Purdue left. There's no possible way for them to lose to Wisconsin or Purdue. And probably no way to lose to Penn State either. So they are a shoe-in to get in. And even if they drop one, they're still getting in. Ohio State has Purdue, UCLA, Rutgers, and Michigan left. How many of those games do they even have a remote possibility of losing?
One, maybe,
Exactly.
maybe.
Michigan. So they're in the college football playoff. Texas A&M, they still got, Missouri, South Carolina, Samford, and Texas. So I guess technically they could lose 2 games, but probably not. And then Ole Miss, shoe in, bro. They got Citadel, Florida, and Mississippi State left, and they're so they're shoe in. And then you got BYU and Texas Tech. If Texas Tech wins in a close game, they're both, as long as they finish the season, both finish with 1 loss. They're both getting in. Oregon, if they finish out 10-2, they're gonna get in. Then you got Notre Dame. They have Navy, Pitt, Syracuse, and Stanford. So their only threat is Pitt. Yeah, it's gonna be much of the same. You could have some switch ups if Texas beats Georgia. If Texas beats Georgia and Texas A&M, they will get in. If they lose both, they're out. Hell, if they lose one, they're probably out. Yeah. So, and then you're gonna have whatever ACC team gets in. This is already a lock, like it was last year for at least 8 of the teams.
So I do want to point out one thing because there's a little Pitt mention in there. They don't look terrible. You had them as number 4 going into the year in the ACC. Didn't look like that was going to happen. They made a very crazy
especially after 4
switch.
weeks. Yeah, after 4 weeks when they beat Duquesne, beat Central Michigan, and then lost to West Virginia and Louisville.
We'll talk about how wide open the ACC is here in a minute, but I do want to transition to, I guess, congratulating former Ole Miss quarterback Bo Wallace on being extremely right the entire time about Hugh Freeze, who has been fired by the University of Auburn. And we found out that Hugh Freeze was getting fired because he changed his standing tee time on Sunday at the Auburn Country Club under his wife's name. And somebody had access to those records and said it's going down today. Now, that's a logical conclusion based on the fact they scored 3 points against Kentucky. However,
if that wasn't enough.
Yes. However, it is the most college football story of all time that someone who is viewed as a golf obsessed grifter ends up having the game of golf tied into his firing, in which he gets to walk away with $15 million. Everything about this story is so uniquely college football, down to Hugh Freeze's daughter doing like get ready with me's on TikTok to explain what it's like to be the daughter of a fired college football head coach. Just everything about it from top to bottom is so uniquely college football, so uniquely American. I hate to revel in somebody getting fired, but it was a highly entertaining week.
Oh, it definitely was. And do you know what's going to be the most entertaining part about this coaching carousel?
What?
That people are about to FAFO. You have, and I don't want to step on the next topic too much, but you have Brent Key over there at Georgia Tech, Clark Lee at Vanderbilt, Jeff Brohm at Louisville, Kenny Dillingham at Arizona State. All of these four names have been thrown out about head coaching job opportunities. And I do not believe that any of them are willing to leave where they're at right now because they're at their alma maters and they love where they are. You had Jeff Brohm leave a good situation to go coach Louisville because it was his home. And Penn State fans think, oh, we'll just offer him $15 million. He'll come. And you're about to find out that this is not how it works at all. This is not in this era of college football. Coaches believe that they can win pretty much anywhere that they are resourced. And they're like, I'm the secret sauce, not the university anymore, because I will recruit. And if you give me money to get players and you give me other money to hire assistant coaches, I will deliver you wins. And you're going to have these big brands find out, like, hold up, we got to go to the assistant coach pool. Or like that we can't just steal anybody's coach like we thought we could. That's very humbling when you realize that like you don't have as much sway as you thought you had in life.
Yes, I will throw this in there too. We've gotten to a point where the college coaching job market, it's not just about being at your school, because Jonathan Smith was at his school as well and he did leave, and people can point to him.
He left as a hostage though. He left as a hostage.
That is true. But people are going to point to like the amount of money, the amount of guaranteed money, and all of those things. Let's be very honest. If you are a college football head coach, you are likely making an average, even if you're a coach on the come up, of $2 to $5 million a year.
Correct.
That is more than the highest paid coach in America was making at the beginning of this millennium. So the average coaching salary for a lot of these major institutions is 2 to 5 times higher than it was at its highest peak 25 years ago. Inflation has been crazy.
I'm gonna give you the proof, okay? That way we're speaking in actual data, all right? So and remember, this doesn't even count USC and no, it does. Because private head coaches are not in here. Oh, for instance, like Notre Dame is not. Well, he is. Oh, okay. So the 50th highest paid head coach, and this is from the USA Today article that was published on October 25th. I'm sorry, October 8th, 2025. The 50th highest paid head coach is Dave Aranda at $4.7 million. Brent Pry, Virginia Tech, is right in front of him at 4.702. And then Joey McGuire, 4.5. Brent Key, 4.5 right after that.
Yeah, I mean, inflation has been hell in this country for the last 25 years, but it hasn't been, it hasn't outpaced college football head coaching salaries by any stretch of the imagination. This is the fastest growing, highest paid industry. I mean, you could point to CEOs at other companies or whatever, but for the most part, these are the highest paid people at many state institutions, above governors, senators by 10x, 20x. So I say all that to say this: most head coaches are making money beyond their wildest dreams.
Yes.
If they are in a good situation, more guaranteed money, taking more guaranteed money would actually reflect upon them as a negative. You know, you look at what Steve Sarkisian said this past week, and he's like, look, people are going to want that. You look at the state of college football, anybody who goes anywhere, you know, who are they going to hire? They're going to want some security, right?
Yeah.
Well, let's talk about what some security looks like, because Sark makes $12 million a year. In 2 days, he makes more than the yearly salary of the average uh, citizen of Texas.
Yeah.
In
And
2
his
days,
buyout is
every
$60
2
million
days,
for getting fired.
and every 2 days, he's making 67K. Every 2 days. Your definition of security in your industry is certainly relative, my man, because I would coach University of Texas for 67K. I get yelled at for that. I mean, I would do it. I don't care. So you are officially way far outside of anybody really being able to identify with what you're talking about. If you are in a city that embraces you, that is resourcing you, where your heart is actually in it, where you actually have a deep rooted desire to see that institution succeed, and you are making 5 to 7 times more than Steve Spurrier made 25 years ago, stay.
Yep.
If you're looking to leave, it actually kind of makes you look stupid.
So I
And if
just
you're
talked to an
kind of
agent.
stupid, the results are going to reflect it at your next job.
So I just talked to an agent last night, and he was talking about that, about universities offering extensions. And he represents a bunch of coaches. And he said that one of the institutions hasn't offered an extension to their head coach yet. And I was like, that makes sense. I wouldn't do it either. And he was like, okay, let's look at the situation. I also represent, or the company does, some of their best players on their team. So the head coach and parents are calling everything, trying to figure out if the head coach is going to leave and everything else. So the head coach is like, he's not looking to leave, but he could, depending on what shakes out elsewhere. And so it's just like, if you're the athletic director, on some level, you probably feel like you have to do this, like that you don't have a choice, which has to be frustrating because you're sitting here saying that. I mean, it's like Matt Rule at Nebraska. Did Matt Rule deserve, had he earned a 2-year extension? No, no,
No.
no. Like
Has
you're,
Luke
I
Fickle
mean,
earned any of his 3 extensions?
no. Are you sure, if you are Nebraska, like if you're Oregon and Dan Lanning, you feel sure that you have your guy? Same thing with Notre Dame, same thing with Georgia. Like, you know what you got. You hear me? But if you're Nebraska, are you sure of what you have with Matt Rule? Like, are you sure? And also, what is the expectation? Like, if you're Nebraska, Ralph, and this is a question I'm looking for an answer. What is your actual expectation for what you are paying Matt Rule to do? You know what I mean? Because if you're in Indiana, are you paying Kurt Signetti for a championship? I don't think so. I think you're paying him to get you 10 wins a year and raise the floor of your university. That way, now you are a football school and people expect it. And yes, you're going to make the college football playoff. If you never win a natty and you win 10 games a year for the next decade, I think that you feel like you won.
Yeah, I would say that the NCAA expanding the college football playoff has made it like the NFL. The wild card becomes your base expectation. So if you're paying somebody 8 figures, you expect to be in competition for, at a minimum, a college football playoff spot.
Yeah.
And if you're not even in competition for that spot, or like we talked about earlier, you don't have an excuse to point back to, like our quarterback broke his leg. If you're fully healthy and you're not making the college football playoff, then they're going to go find somebody who can. And I think
Yes.
that's just the way it is. But speaking of those coaches, and you already brought it up, Brent Key gave the type of statement that you've been asking people to make. the Dan Lanning type statement. He said, cut me open and see what colors I bleed, which is a metaphor because if you bleed in Georgia Tech colors, you got a medical problem. But like, we talked about this, man. Offensive linemen are loyal. He played at that university. He cares about that university. His time at that university kicked off a long stretch of relative success.
Yep.
That dropped off and it came back when he took over. And so, I mean, he is passionate. He is fiery. He is the reason this team is good. You listen to Haynes King talk, and everything points back to like, we are just bought in. That's what it comes down to.
Yep.
The one thing I love that Haynes King said this year is, they asked him, how have you helped elevate Georgia Tech? And he's like, I got here on the way up. Like, how many people do that, deflect in that way? He's like, I hopped on this ride. So look at the players who were here before me. Ask them.
Exactly.
Yep. That type of mentality comes from a top down. It comes from an offensive lineman being your head coach.
Exactly. So I loved Brent Key for his statement because and the quote's longer than that, but it was unequivocal. Like the only thing more that he could have been is standing up, pull up the microphone. I'm not fucking leaving. I'm not effing leaving. I mean, that's the only thing more that he could have possibly done. And I asked the agent that I talked to about this, Ralph. I was like, well, does it depend on the school that you're at, depending on how you have to handle this? Because if, like, depending on your AD and everything, do you have to instill fear? That way, then you can be like, all right, cool, we need more money, we need more resources. Or can you just be like, listen, I have no desire to leave here. I want to be here. And I'm not leaving. I'm not going to these other jobs. And then the AD is like, cool, he's loyal to us. Now we can pay him. And he said it depends on where you're at.
We've had coaches be very falsely performative. We have that all the time. But when Brent Key and Dan Lanning do things like this, which essentially take your name out of the market, off the market, things like that, it puts other people in a situation where they might have to do the same. And that brings me to the next topic. Josh Pate on a podcast with Will Compton and Taylor Lewan said that people need to be looking out for what's happening with Lincoln Riley this offseason. I brought that up to you. I said it could be a best for everybody involved if Lincoln Riley takes his system elsewhere, because there is no, people who say that he ran away from the SEC, there is no escaping now.
There's no, you can't run for cover now. You're either in the Big Ten or you're in the SEC. There is no cover.
Right. And like,
there's no safe place.
Trying to imagine a situation where he wouldn't end up in one of those two conferences. It would be maybe, in a situation where he'd go back to Texas Tech where he's from because they're resourced.
How does Joey McGuire then get out of Texas Tech?
Exactly. Well, you maybe have like LSU come get him or something like that. So I don't know. But
I don't know if Cody Campbell, if he lets that happen.
But Cody Campbell is a Texas Tech guy, and Joey McGuire is a Texas guy, UT Arlington guy. But so like would,
so if Sark left to go to the NFL, air quotes.
Yes.
Then Joey McGuire might be, oh my gosh.
He
could backdoor to the Texas job.
Technically, yes. And so, and there is, Cody Campbell is going to have connections to guys like, he's probably one of those guys who believes like, what if we put resources behind Cliff Kingsbury? And as an Arizona Cardinals fan, I just want to say, good luck, buddy. But like, there is Lincoln Riley. There are all of these people who are part of like the Mummy offensive system, the Leach offensive system that would be available. Texas Tech's not ever going to have a problem finding a coach. Or like if Dabo did leave for some job, would Lincoln go join his brother out in Clemson. You know, there's situations where maybe I could imagine, but we brought this up on this podcast.
Yeah.
The reason I'm talking about it now is, could you ever see Lincoln Riley saying, "Cut me open, see what color I bleed," even if it is the same color as what as USC? You know, like neither could I, and I don't think that
His
they
color
would
would be
find that
gold.
genuine
He
if he
he
tried
he
it.
would he would he would bleed gold.
Just green, just straight cash green pouring out his veins, or air, the air raid. But like I just it you bring a guy's name into it, and Josh Pate is credible. You bring a guy's name into it like Lincoln Riley off of a statement that Brent Key just issued, and well, I mean we know LA people, like they
Oh, I
don't
can't wait
care.
till they. I wonder if anybody's even going to bother to ask Lincoln Riley about it if they have media availability today, because then they might get banned from practice. So they might not even ask him.
I'm trying to imagine a situation where fans of an LA team are like, we just need somebody who represents the city and the culture. Like, no, you don't. Like, you built an entire city off of getting people from other places. They don't care about that at all. So you'd never have Lincoln Riley come out and be like, "No, I'm a Trojan. Like, I'm born to be a Trojan." Unless you're like Troy Polamalu,
Damn,
like
bro,
he
you
would
you just
never
thought
come
about it.
off as
He does
authentic.
feel like a mercenary. he got some of that Brian Kelly mercenary in him. And
That's LA though, dude. How do you
but
think the Dodgers got all those championships? Dodger fan?
whoa, whoa. Um, the the Dodgers
Oh,
are
my
in
bad. I forgot Shohei Otani's from Compton.
the Dodgers are baked into the culture of LA. The Dodgers fans love whoever is on the Dodgers.
Well, that
That's
so is
it is
Hollywood
just
is
like the
baked into the culture
Lakers.
of LA, but they're casting Hemsworth brothers, dude. They're going to Australia to get your
Hey,
actors for your feature films.
listen,
LA is
listen.
about coming from somewhere else and making it in
Mm-mm.
that town. So you don't
No,
need to be
we
a
have a lot of
hometown guy.
pride. We have a lot of pride about
Where are you from,
LA and
George?
people who are from LA, and we embrace us LA folks.
Where are you from?
LA. What do you mean?
You're from the Inland Empire, far, far, far east. So far east, it's in the south.
What do you mean? Where was I born? I was born in Memphis, Tennessee, and I lived there until I was 8, almost 9. But my formative years were formed with out in Cali, a combination of church meets NWA, like that's me, like with the little sprinkle of Southern hospitality in it.
Okay. Okay. You kind of come off to me as a like a Jacksonville bred man. All right, next topic. Next topic. Next topic.
Oh, hold on. I want to put a button on this one. Do we
Okay.
believe that Lincoln Riley would actually leave? Like, because Josh Pate lobbed a grenade at the end of that podcast. Like, they ended on that. I believe that there are circumstances that Lincoln Riley would leave. He's obviously not getting fired, no chance.
Yeah,
But I do believe that there are certain circumstances that could get him out of there, because he
I
might
think
be like,
too.
yo, I can get out while the getting's good. Because he's looking at this 2026 schedule, and and he might be like, yo, I don't know beyond. I mean, if we're being honest, Ralph, their 2026 schedule is, oh, excuse me, and Notre Dame's not even on it yet. Okay, they got they're at Wisconsin, which is going to be improved. Okay, they play Washington, which is would do we believe that Washington is going to be a formidable opponent in 2026?
They will probably have everybody except Denzel Boston back, and that's pretty
Yes.
scary.
They play Oregon. They play Ohio State. They play Indiana. They play Penn State, who will have a new head coach and will be invigorated. Like that team will be. And they play, and then they're going to play Notre Dame as well. And that's not even counting Fresno State, Maryland, UCLA as well. So they still
If
got
I'm
one, and then they still got one more game to add on the schedule, but that'll probably be like a, FCS game.
if I'm Lincoln Riley, there are two jobs that I entertain. One is Auburn if they want to make me the highest paid coach in the country, and the other is LSU. That's really it. I don't think he should be dislodged for any other reason. Those are two schools that both have national championships in the recent past. The air raid doesn't technically have one yet, and I think he's trying to be the savior for this system. So I don't know. I think that would really be it for me. I do want to bring up that Charlie Baker, assuming we even have college football, George, because Charlie Baker is freaking out. The letter that
So,
he just sent to Congress
so you can tell everybody
is
who
a little
Charlie
desperate.
Baker is, the way in case people don't immediately.
Yeah, Charlie Baker's the boss of this whole thing. He took over for Mark Emmert, who was in place as the head of the NCAA for two reasons: to preserve amateurism, which he failed miserably on, and to be the whipping boy for everybody's concerns. He was somebody who willingly accepted a paycheck for everyone to dump on his name.
Yeah.
Whether he enjoyed it, I can't say. I don't know if he's uh, a masochist or anything like that. But he said he was like, I mean, think about some of the comments you've been getting from Iowa fans this week, George. He
Yeah.
was like, "I'll take everybody's worst if you want to pay me $3 million a year." And so that's what he did. He essentially was the whipping boy for everyone about everything in the name of attempting to preserve amateurism, which he miserably failed on. So you bring Charlie Baker in. Charlie Baker, I think, was like a governor in the Northeast, Connecticut, Massachusetts, one of those states. I don't know. But you bring him in, and he is somebody who has actually been trying to steer the ship. And he is usually very diplomatic, usually very measured, but he just sent a letter to lawmakers asking Congress to build some protections around the NCAA eligibility standards for college athletes. And he says, quote, the court's chiseling away of the NCAA's ability to enforce eligibility rules is destabilizing and threatening college sports. And the things that he's pointing to right now that are the biggest threat to college sports are members of the G League getting to come back into college basketball,
Yo, that is something.
in, international student athletes with previous pro experience coming in to play, um, student athletes being able to get to their third, fourth, and fifth college, uh, athletes whose eligibility is stretching 7 or more years. That's a comment about, certainly the quarterback who just left Utah, the running back who is currently at South Carolina,
Yes.
Diego Pavia beating up on him in court over this JUCO stuff. So what he's asking for is Congress to take action with legislation that includes limited antitrust protection to allow the NCAA to build in an actual fence for what a college athlete is.
Do
George,
you know how you can
are
solve
you on
that,
their
Ralph?
side? How would you solve that?
Two words that I've said 50 times: collective bargaining. Let the players unionize, encourage them to unionize, let them negotiate with the NCAA or whatever entity is going to represent the conferences for uniform rules. And then you know what? Nobody can sue you then, because it's then collectively bargained. They can't even sue. Like them lawsuits will get thrown out so damn quick. You would have NIL rules. They would be negotiated, and then you would be able to enforce them. The College Sports Commission, which they all agreed to, all of the conferences haven't even signed on to it yet. This is why you have no enforcement. This is madness, bro. This is madness.
Who would be representing the players is my question, because you want the head of your union to be 22? Or would it be a group of former players who are just like, you guys vote, and then the former players, the council, I'm sure
Well,
you'd
I
throw your
would think
name in the
that you
ring.
would do it like the NCAA. I'm sorry, like the NFL or the NBA, which is you have player reps, and then from there you get an executive committee, and then when it comes to everything, everybody votes. Everybody votes. So all of the players actually vote or have the ability to vote for or not the collective bargaining agreement. If it do, they pass. If they don't, they don't. And then you go from there.
I'm just looking forward to the day where there's like a strike and the scabs are 5'8", 150 white corners from Ohio playing at Alabama for a season. Where we have just like regular kids in frats that are taking the field for Alabama because college athletes went on strike for a whole year
Oh my God,
to get better
bro.
terms. I cannot wait for that to happen. Last up in the storyline segment, so you love message board geniuses. You love these message board rumors. You
Yes.
love all the nonsense surrounding college football. Probably a little more than me. And earlier this year, John Mateer, who was supposedly not going to be playing in the Red River Shootout, told a Chipotle worker that he was going to play. And somebody in line behind him was like, "Hey, I was just in line with John Mateer at Chipotle. He told the guy pressing his tortilla that he's going to play in this game." And it blew up.
Yep.
And J.D. Pickell asked John Mateer if the story was real. And John Mateer did not look happy in this interview, admitting that it was, and it was really just a learning lesson for him, which he's had to learn a couple of hard lessons this year, going from like a Washington State where no one would have noticed this stuff except for maybe like me and you,
Yes.
to go into Oklahoma where he can't even have an honest conversation with a Chipotle worker, and his Venmo history gets called into question.
Yes.
It's been a weird year for John Mateer, but he said it was a lesson in learning like who I can trust and who I cannot trust. And I want to say this to John Mateer. Every Chipotle I've been to, they are not your friend. They're not friendly. You don't need to be telling those people anything.
He
They're not even
probably
listen
knew the
anyway.
dude. He probably was like, yo, I bet he sees his tortilla guy 2-3 times a week.
That's his dude.
Yeah.
It wasn't even the guy who dimed him out. It was somebody in line behind him. So
Yeah. So he was
Chipotle
probably
kept
talking to the guy. Yeah. And he was like, hey, yo, like,
oh man.
That's his tortilla guy. He probably slides him some free guac and, everything else. So, he's like,
So you're saying he knew his tortilla guy was going to keep it under wraps.
yes,
That's what you're saying?
For sure.
A little dad joke for the audience. Let's get into Wrighster or Wrong. I have so many topics, so we're going to have to rapid fire some of these. George, Wrighster or Wrong? When a quarterback says these words, they are in hell. I just execute the play that's called.
Yes, that is Wrighster. Wrighster, 100% Wrighster, and also a deflector. Like quarterbacks
Would you like to guess which quarterback said that this week?
I know which quarterback said it. That is Miami's quarterback, Carson Beck. It is troublesome.
Oh my gosh.
It is troublesome. because he is so trying to protect himself right now. He is not worried about the team. He's about NFL status, and he believes that this is going to that he can then say something like, "Yeah, just executing the plays that's called." Blah blah blah. That's not how it works in the NFL. You have to be the guy who says the right thing. He is going down the Quinn Ewers path right now of draft stock, and I'm not saying that because Quinn didn't do that to his teammates or the team or anything else. He is, like, yes, you are only executing the plays that are called. However, nobody told you to predetermine where you were going to throw the ball against Louisville for 5 interceptions, only 4 of them counted. And then nobody told you to, yes, you can only execute plays, but the decision making within those plays is yours.
That is true. And to give some context to this, Miami lost to SMU. SMU safeties are nasty. They're just
Yes.
nasty. There might be the two best safeties in the ACC on one team. And is it possible that Shannon Dawson went into that game and he was like, we're not even going to bother with these dudes. We're going to go side to side. We're going to give a full Mike Bobo Georgia game plan, Noel
Yeah.
Mazzoni UCLA game plan. We're to side to side. That is very, very possible. But you don't, as the quarterback, if you don't have success like that, they got to be students of the game, George. That phrase has been uttered by so many quarterbacks on either their worst day or the week before they don't have a job anymore. That exact phrase. And so I worry about Carson Beck right now. To keep it on Miami, Wrighster or wrong, we get to invent Wrighster or wrong. As fans of a team, we get to invent our own reality about who we wanted hired for the job.
Yes, you do get to invent your own reality about it because
That is good to know that Uncle Luke of Two Live Crew is Wrighster because he has spent all week telling people that Miami wouldn't have been in this mess, and he's a Miami super fan.
if
Miami
they
wouldn't
had
have been in this mess if they had just hired who he told them to hire,
one of the
Lane Kiffin.
people he said to hire was Mario Cristobal.
Yeah, to which people produced so many tweets.
He gave
So
them
many
two
tweets.
options. It was
Yeah,
Mario Cristobal and Lord,
Lane
who
Kiffin.
was Lane Kiffin. Maybe he forgot.
He's getting up there. He got a little gray in his stubble.
Yes.
Oh my gosh. I just, if it was a skit, if this was a skit, it would have been the funniest skit in all of college football all week long. Because this man said, we wouldn't be in this boat if you just did what I said and hire Lane Kiffin. Number one, Lane Kiffin has lost some games he shouldn't have lost.
Correct.
He's
He
not
lost
Mr.
to
Anti
Kentucky
November.
last year.
Yeah, he's not Mr. Anti November like Cristobal. Like November hits and Cristobal's like, bye.
Yeah.
It's almost guaranteed at this point. However, he was caping for Mario Cristobal pretty hard. And I just wanted to know, like, are we allowed to do that? Are we allowed to like get that selective with
What
our
do you
memories?
mean, bro? We watch this every single day on First Take. We watch it on, on whatever sports show that you watch on television or YouTube. People backtrack and revisionist history. That would be like me saying, and actually being serious. Hey, hey, everybody was doubting Josh Allen coming out of college. But I told y'all that this kid was physically a running back, but he also had a cannon of an arm and that his accuracy would be able to be corrected. And just a couple years of maturation in doing dumb ish in NFL games, he would then be a future MVP and one of the three best quarterbacks in the league. I'm sure of it.
You actually, if you wanted to after this week, George, you could go on a victory lap because you called him a running back.
Yeah.
And he is now the all-time leader in quarterback rushing touchdowns in NFL history in his 20s. You could pull an Uncle Luke and just go on a full victory lap
I told y'all he was a
tour.
running back. What do you mean? He just so
Don't
happens to
look
be
up
able to throw it
anything
too.
else I said.
Yes.
Oh my gosh. Shout out Uncle Luke. Wrighster or wrong? Wrighster or wrong? And I don't know if you've seen this or not. I can't wait to explain it to you if you have not. Wrighster or wrong? Abilene Christian should have issued, as a Christian school, should have issued an apology for what they tweeted at Tarleton State after getting a win in that rivalry game.
Oh God. I number one, I have no idea what you're talking about. And number two, please don't say that this is one of those like because you're a Christian school or because you're a Christian that you're not supposed to have fun.
Oh, that is absolutely what this is.
That's exactly that is precisely what I'm about to tell you.
I know somebody on the roster at Abilene Christian, so I've been following him. And Keith Patterson, head coach, used to be at Arizona State. So, I'm sure that the players had no issue with this. I'm going to read you the apology, then I'm going to read you what they tweeted, and I'm going to see if you can actually believe that one has to do with the other. This is from ACU Sports. Many of you saw a post after ACU's football win over Tarleton State. The post was not only unprofessional, it was inconsistent with the values of Abilene Christian University. The content has been removed because it fell short of our standards, and we apologize to anyone who may have been hurt or offended. Our standards are higher than what was conveyed in that post, and we will ensure you experience that moving forward.
Wait. What did the post say again?
Tarleton is not a state.
And it's very funny post. Again.
Yeah, I'll read this apology one more time. All it said is Tarleton is not a state. That's it. That's it. And now the post has gone mega viral because everybody copied it and they're posting it in the replies of every ACU athletics post. So here's the apology for a tweet after a win over a rival that said Tarleton is not a state. Many of you saw a post after ACU's football win over Tarleton State. The post was not only unprofessional, it was inconsistent with the values of Abilene Christian University. The content has been removed because it fell short of our standards, and we apologize to anyone who may have been hurt or offended. Our standards are higher than what was conveyed in that post, and we will ensure you experience that moving forward. If somebody got mad about that, they're not, and I hate to say this as a Christian, that might be the only unredeemable thing.
I hate everything about this, Ralph. I hate this with the power of 1,000 suns. I hate this in every part of my DNA. I hate this in ways that should get people who forced a statement fired. I hate this in ways that this is anti-American, anti-fun, anti-Christian, anti-sports, anti-competitive, and this makes me want to say I hate the woke mob. This makes me
George Republican.
This makes me want to join MAGA. That's how bad it is.
I honestly it's at the point where I don't even want to know who gave the order for the apology. Just know what you did. Just know what you did. It was so short-sighted. Tarleton is not a state is going to be the rallying cry of Abilene Christian University for the next 25 years.
And do you know what is going to happen? Is that Abilene Christian, Tarleton State, the next time they beat you, they're going to troll you. And then they're going to be like, but we do not care. We can have fun around here just because
Oh
you
yeah.
got a bunch of softies around there.
I can't wait for the Tarleton State post that's like, Jesus isn't from Texas or some
Yeah.
nonsense. Like, well, no, they probably couldn't get away with that one. But I would like to see this escalate.
Yes.
Our next topic, speaking of people saying controversial things after games, I watched Wyoming, who gets mentioned on this podcast every once in a while because I'm from there, go down to San Diego State when we talked about their defensive coordinator being my standout assistant coach of the year up to this point. San Diego State beat Wyoming soundly, made sure they couldn't even really move the ball.
Yep.
And afterward, the head coach of Wyoming in his Monday presser back in Laramie, Wyoming, Jay Savell, he said, it looks like all the San Diego State fans dressed up as empty seats for Halloween. I could not be happier to be the head coach of Wyoming. Sean Lewis is a great coach and a great guy. He deserves better. George, I think, and you know Snapdragon Stadium's brand new.
Like savagery.
You know Snapdragon Stadium's like brand new, right?
Yes.
It's, yeah, I guess it's a little bit of a sun bowl, like it'll torch you. But
yes.
Other than that, beautiful facility.
Yep.
I guess they had like 15,000 fans. And they're 7-1.
Yes, bro. They are good. They are good. They put Cal in a blender. Their defense is one of the tops in the country. Sean Lewis has to be up for another head coach. I mean, like, he's got to be up for one of these top jobs soon. And yeah, this is wild to me.
So here's the Wrighster or wrong. You're a San Diego State fan. Usually the go-to when you're in a city like San Diego, incredible city,
yeah,
is, hey, shut your mouth. We got stuff to do.
Yeah.
Right? You're in Laramie. You got
nothing
shit.
else to do. Yeah. That's the go-to, which I hate.
And I've locked and loaded that one a couple of times as like a Tempe resident. You know, when I lived there, and people would criticize the turnout. I don't actually believe it. It's a hit dog hollers type thing.
Yeah.
But when the stadium is over half empty and you're 7-1, Wrighster wrong, you just got to eat that one.
Yep. You got to eat it and you got to put it out to your fans. Be like, here's what they said about y'all. Listen, I don't agree with y'all, but that's what they saying.
All right. My last couple here. When I say outer space, space exploration, outer space, NASA, all that stuff. What is the first, not multiple, the first region of the country or city that comes to your mind? You can only pick one.
As far as space exploration?
Yes, American city.
Ooh. Probably Cape Canaveral.
So coastal Florida.
Yeah. Or Houston.
You
those
can't
are my
hit
only
an or.
two options.
That's the issue, is you can't hit an or.
Okay.
Because University of Houston and UCF are both in the Big 12. UCF is wearing their space uniforms this weekend, and Houston's taking shots at them. Houston's taking quite a few shots at them, and I want to read you.
Which is fair. I do believe that that's fair.
So UCF has dubbed this the space game. They're wearing their space uniforms, and they put out a list of facts about coastal Florida's, association with
space exploration,
Kennedy Space Center, Cape Canaveral, all that stuff. And Houston shot back with their facts and 5 things to know for the game, including this one. The University of Houston chosen to help send astronauts to the moon in 1962 before UCF was an institution. 7 years later, Apollo 11 sent man to the moon thanks to help from University of Houston students, professors, and researchers. Houston's campus is 22.5 miles away from the Johnson Space Center. UCF is 35 miles away from the Kennedy Space Center, and they also made sure to mention that Orlando is the theme park capital of the world.
Okay, I can get like that is fair for Houston to take umbrage of that, but they should have embraced space first. If they wanted to lay claim to space uniforms, then they should have done it first.
Well, speaking of space, your camera just died, which means your lunch is probably there. I will close us out with one thing before we shut the podcast down. Matt Brown, college football reporter, put out a story this week. Who do you think? What school do you think is selling the most alcohol of anyone in beer sales?
I think the answer was Wisconsin.
It was not, but they were close. It is by far the only school to have 2 million in revenue in alcohol sales is University of Nebraska.
Yes, I knew it was. Damn it, they're right next to each other and they're both red. Yes, and it's $1 million more than the next one.
So if you ever wonder if their mood changes on Matt Rule from day to day, you know why. George, what are you looking forward to this weekend?
Oh my God, I Oregon, Iowa, bro. The the talk about this game, the doubt of Oregon, the I mean, you got Kirk Herbstreit going out. Everybody's picking Iowa. Everybody is picking Iowa. This is just a foregone conclusion. Oregon's gonna go out there and get their ass whooped. I just can't wait to see it.
I am looking forward to the easiest over in the history of college football, Kansas and Arizona going over 56 and a half. I usually only bet the first week of the season, actual real units or money as it is called. And this one I might go in on a little bit because I don't think either one of these schools can stop anybody. And then of course, I want to see if BYU even shows up against Texas Tech. People seem to believe the Red Raiders are going to run them off the field. Uh, if BYU is undefeated after this weekend, you got to put them in the top five. That's I don't make the
Yes.
rules. That's just how it is because the expectation is Texas Tech is so much better. So if BYU wins, you got to give them the credit to push them up into SEC territory, Big Ten territory. BYU has got to be pretty much locked in unless they fall off a cliff for the college football playoff.
Yes. And that would mean that they escaped the Ralph Amsden curse.
Maybe I did say they go 9-3, so they could go 0-3 afterward, but I highly doubt it. Um, but shout out to BYU. You got an opportunity to do a big thing this weekend. Let's see if you can get it done. This has been the College Football Apostles. Make
Yep.
sure you subscribe to the Empty Box. You know what I think happened is University of Houston and those
Hacked into the
space
system.
engineers, those NASA engineers, they heard what you had to say. They shut you down.
Yep. 100%. All right. Well, we will catch you guys later. Peace out.